Ever scroll through your social media and think, does my life really look this good, or am I just really good at making it look that way?
Hmm. Interesting question.
It's something I think about a lot, actually, especially now with this whole Feed Zero thing going around with Gen Z. Like, they're over it. The whole perfectly curated Instagram grid, forget it. They're opting for blank profiles. Nothing there. And we're gonna, totally unpack why that's happening today.
Yeah. It's pretty wild, right? I mean, it goes against everything we thought we knew about social media.
Totally. So we've been digging into some articles and research, trying to figure out, what's the deal with this whole Feed Zero thing? What does it even mean for how we think about online identity? Is this the future or what?
Yeah, it's a fascinating question for sure.
So, okay, for anyone who hasn't encountered this yet, imagine this. You click on someone's Instagram profile, usually expecting, the highlight reel, right? But instead, there's just nothing.
Blank. A completely empty slate.
Exactly. And it's not just a few inactive accounts. This CNN article from just the other day, September 26th, it was talking about how it's this whole trend, this conscious choice Gen Z is making.
Yeah, and you know what's striking? It's such a stark contrast to how millennials use social media, particularly in the early days.
Oh, totally.
Remember when Facebook first became a thing? It was all about documenting everything.
Oh my God.
Those
Yeah.
endless photo albums, the status updates about every little thing. It was like we were creating this permanent record of our lives, for better or worse.
Right, like a digital scrapbook that anyone could just open up and peek through.
Exactly. But now Gen Z is like, nah, we're good.
Yeah.
They're way more into the ephemeral stuff.
The stuff that disappears, poof.
Exactly. Like Snapchat and Instagram stories, TikTok, content that exists in the moment and then vanishes. It's almost like they're rejecting this idea of a curated online persona.
It's so interesting, right? Because authenticity seems to be such a big deal for them.
It's huge.
Yeah.
And I think it comes from growing up seeing the downsides of how millennials approached online life.
The pressure to appear perfect all the time.
Right, exactly. They were the first generation to really grapple with that, and I think Gen Z has learned from their, mistakes.
Yeah.
So now they're pushing back, looking for something that feels more real, more genuine. And I think a part of that is also tied to a growing concern about privacy. This generation has a much deeper understanding of how the internet works, how what you post online can stay with you forever.
It's kind of scary if you think about it.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's even as platforms like Instagram are rolling out all these new features for more control over your online image, Gen Z is no thanks, we're good. They'd rather just opt out.
It's like they're saying, you know what? We're just not going to play this game, which is kind of revolutionary when you think about it.
It really makes you wonder what it means for the future of everything. How will they build their careers, their relationships? It's a whole new world out there.
Exactly. It's a whole new set of rules that we're all still trying to figure out.
Especially with platforms themselves starting to impose more rules, Instagram now requiring parental consent for users under 16.
Right.
So you have this push and pull, this tension between young people craving more online freedom and platforms trying to, in their view, make it safer, but also kind of limiting what they can do.
Right. And it really raises questions about who gets to define what's safe and what's appropriate in these online spaces.
And what happens when those ideas clash?
Yeah, exactly. Who gets to decide?
It's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. But I guess the bigger question is, if this whole Feed Zero thing catches on, what happens then?
Right. What happens when an entire generation grows up without leaving much of a digital footprint?
Right, in a world that's only becoming more and more digital. It's a fascinating and kind of scary thought.
It really is.
Yeah.
And it's something we need to start thinking about now, because it's not just about Instagram feeds anymore. It's about how we build our lives, our identities, in a world that's constantly changing.
And how do you stand out if everyone is trying to blend in,
Exactly. It's how do you make your mark when everyone is trying to erase theirs? Something to think about.
Definitely food for thought. Thanks for diving into this with me.
Of course, happy to be here.
Until next time.